When you start working this tank top, you cast on stitches for the back neck. So this portion gets cast on. And the way you shape the shoulders on the back is with increases. So you have a series of increases on each side of the row. At the beginning of the row, they will slant to the right. At the end of the row, they slant to the left. And you're going to make them on right side rows and wrong side rows. There's 16 increases on each side, and that's how you get your shoulders. These are European shoulders or diagonal shoulders. Once you have shaped all the shoulder stitches, you will continue straight down, even in pattern, working back and forth in rows. And then at a certain point, once you reach your measurement that is specified in the pattern, you're going to start adding more increases on each side of the row. These increases are to shape your armholes, and they are done on every right side row. Once you get to the point where you start doing your armhole shaping, it's important that you write down on a piece of paper or in the pattern itself the number of repeats you've worked and the row that you've ended on, because then that will tell you exactly how many rows you've worked up into the shaping. And the reason why we do that is so that when we work the fronts, you want to make sure that you work the same exact number of rows. So it's important to keep track of that. Okay, so once you get to the part where you're going to be doing your armhole shaping, you have to work in pattern. And what that means, if it's a purl, you will make the increases purlwise. And if it's a knit, you will make the increases knitwise. And it could be a little tricky figuring that out. As long as you look at the chart, the pattern itself basically is knit 4, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. So it's a 10 stitch repeat with some cables and lace thrown in, but it's mostly ribbing. And at the beginning of the row, it's a little tricky because you have to work backwards. At the end of the row, it's easy. You just carry on with the pattern to know whether it's going to be a purl or a knit. And if you just keep an eye on the chart, you'll know exactly whether you have to do a purl or a knit to stay in pattern. All right, so at that point, you make all your increases, and depending on your size, each size will make a different number of increases, and you will have worked all the way to the underarm. Place those back stitches on hold, and then we are going to work the fronts. So to work the front, you pick up stitches. You'll start with one side. You do one side and then the other side, and you're going to make increases for the neck. Once you get down to the neckline, you will place that side on hold, and you will do the other side, making increases gradually in pattern. So it's similar to what you did with the armhole. And then once you reach the point where you are going to, your neck is done, you're going to make a cast on at the center. Okay, so that's how you do the front. And it's, like I said, it begins with a pickup of stitches along those the back shaping. And they fold, the fronts fold over. So it looks like this. Okay. It's one piece at a time until you get to the join at the neck. And then you just work straight down. And this is why it's important that you wrote down the number of repeats, because you want to make sure you do the same number on the front as you did on the back, and that you end on the same row. So it will be consistent. And then you're going to make your shaping, the armhole shaping, just like you did in pattern, just the same exact way you did it on the back. And then you get to the underarm. And at that point, you can start working in the round. You will work across the front because you're still working on the front, do a cast on at the underarm, and then put your stitches from the back onto your needle, your left-hand needle, and work across those stitches, and then do the cast on the other arm. You have joined in the round. Okay, at this point, the work gets very easy. All the hard stuff is done in the beginning. So you join in the round, and then there's another chart. I don't know if you follow charts or if you follow written instructions, they're both there, showing the stitch pattern that's worked in the round. And you go all the way down in the round. And if you're doing, like I did, a fade, you change your colors as you go. When I do my fade, I incorporate the new colors gradually by working a single round and alternating the colors. And then I switch to the new color. I love the way these came out. And then you go all the way down to the end and do your ribbing, one by one ribbing. And I like to bind off with a tubular bind off. So that is how the body is done. And of course, after that, you can pick up stitches for the armhole edging and pick up stitches for the neck edging, and they're worked in one by one rib too. So that is how you do the Gentle Waves tank top.